The 2023 season was so bad, demoralizing. I don't know how many times I can just rehash the same thing. There will be opportunities to do so when they start trying to make moves in the offseason. So I wanted to focus on something positive, something happier, brings back some of the special times, special Cardinals for the franchise. So I wanted to select the all DeWitt team, choosing the top players at each position during Chairman Bill DeWitt Jr.'s 28th season as the head of the Cardinals. So my first installment, I went with the top 10 starting pitchers from 1996 through 2023. It wasn't easy to decide on some of the lower spots on the list, but I believe it's really important to give extra value to starting pitchers who played a meaningful role in the team's postseason success. So please keep that in mind. And, oh, by the way, I know that some of you think that the Cardinals have been some kind of joke under Bill DeWitt. Oh, they really haven't been all that good, Bernie. I swear to you, I hear that from people. Because, again, in modern America, you're for some reason, it's okay to have your own alternative set of facts. They're like 100% detached from reality. And you'll say that. Somebody will say, well, I don't. What have they done under DeWitt? I know they won a little bit here, but come on, it's carried away. And then you'll have other people agreeing with them.
I know those people. I hear them a lot.
I just just the brazen stupidity and ignorance, it's like scary. Anyway, so just as a reminder, with DeWitt in 28 seasons, even though the 28th season was a disaster, with DeWitt as the owner of the Cardinals for the last 28 seasons, the Cardinals are fourth in the majors, 2,415 regular season wins. They're right behind the Yankees, Dodgers, and Braves. Under DeWitt, they've won the most postseason games, 75 by a National League team. And that's second only to the Yankees. They have competed in the most postseason games, 150. My goodness.
That's a lot.
Since Bill DeWitt became owner. Most postseason games by a National League team. But they haven't done anything. They're tied for third among major league teams in league pennants, one since 1996. The Yankees have won 7. Astros 5, Cardinals 4, Giants 4, Red Sox 4. So you're tied for third in that category. And the Cardinals are only one of only 6 teams to win multiple World Series since 1996, when his ownership term began. The leaderboard, Yankees 5, Red Sox 4, Giants 3, Cardinals 2, Astros 2, the Marlins way back 2. So yeah, it's been a successful ownership run, even with a few clunkers mixed in. But if you're looking at the body of work, you have to be seriously impaired mentally not to accept the premise that it's been a great era of baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals. You really need to go seek some help. I'm serious. All right, number 1, Adam Wainwright. To me, it's a no-brainer. Second to Bob Gibson, franchise history, wins above replacement, strikeouts, quality starts, and games started. His 200 wins are third to Gibson all time, Gibson and Pop Haynes. He was virtually perfect as a rookie postseason closer in 2006, thriving in a pressure-loaded setting to play a leading role in St. Louis's first World Series title since 1982. In the 2006 postseason, he did not allow an earned run in 9 2/3 innings. He struck out 35% of the batter's face, and he notched a win in 4 saves. He was a rookie. In the annual Cy Young voting, Wainwright had 2 second-place finishes, 2 third-place finishes from 2009 through 2014. He had MVP votes in 5 seasons, chosen for 3 All-Star teams. He won 2 Gold Gloves and a Silver Slugger. What an incredible career. I think clearly that body of work makes him the best starting pitcher of the Bill DeWitt era, which began in 1996. Number 2, you can probably guess this one, Chris Carpenter. Over this 28 seasons, Carpenter had the best regular season ERA over the last 28 seasons by a Cardinals pitcher. Better ERA than Wainwright or anyone else over that time, 3.07. And he was second to Wainwright in wins above replacement, third to Wainwright and Matt Morris in victories. He's the only Cardinal during the DeWitt years to win a Cy Young Award. That happened back in 2005. He also finished third in the Cy Young voting in 2006 and was second in 2009. He was a 3-time All-Star. And he's a Cardinal Hall of Famer. The thing about him that's important to remember as well, and I don't think I need to remind people. But 6'6" right-hander, massive presence on the postseason stage. He won a Cardinals franchise record 10 games. Gibson won 7, and granted, Gibson had about half the number of opportunities as Carpenter, duly noted, but still, Carpenter, 10 postseason wins stands out really big. More than that, he started 18 games in the postseason, Chris Carpenter. The Cardinals were 13-5 when he started. That's really impressive. And if you combine, listen to this one, if you combine his postseason stats in the run to the World Series championships, if you combine those postseason runs in 2006, 2011, in those 2 postseasons that ended in a parade, the Cardinals were 9-2 when he started a game, and his individual record was 7-1 with a 3.02 ERA.
Ooh.
He won that classic heart-racing duel against Roy Halladay, 1-0 win, the decisive Game 5 of the 2011 LDS, sent the Cardinals to the NLC matchup with Milwaukee. He defeated the Brewers in Game 5 of that series. And, of course, he was the winning pitcher against Texas in Game 7 of the 2011 World Series. No offense to anybody else, but in terms of pitchers that pitched for the Cardinals during this time, I've never seen a greater competitor than Carpenter. I said during this time. In other words, that precludes Bob Gibson because we're covering the years 1996 through 2023. Number 3 on the list, Matt Morris. He's been overlooked in the fan voting for the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Hopefully that's going to change. In this 28-season chronicle, only Wainwright had more starting pitching wins than Morris. Morris was also 3rd in wins above replacement in innings. From 2001 through 2005, Morris was tied for 7th among Major League starters with 79 wins. In 2001, he was 22-8 with a 3.16 ERA, and he finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting. He had an ERA a little bit over 4 in 11 postseason starts. And while the Cardinals were 4-7 in his 11 starts, it's really misleading because in 4 of those losses, the team's losses, he had a combined 1.82 ERA in 29 2/3 innings. The Cardinals couldn't score. Everyone around the Cardinals, including me, really respected Morris, who pitched hurt a lot. There were the times he wasn't capable of going out there with his best start, but he gave them a really good start because he fought through it. He took the ball, pitching while hurting. And that's greatly appreciated. Number 4, Lance Lynn. During the DeWitt era, the big man ranked 4th among St. Louis starting pitchers with 71 wins. He was 4th in wins above replacement. His 3.39 starter ERA in the era was topped only by Carpenter and Shelby Miller, although Shelby Miller didn't, throw as many games. Here's the thing we like and appreciate about Lance Lynn, who, by the way, is going to start for the Dodgers in Game 3. He's still chucking, man. Lance Lynn averaged 6 innings per start for the Cardinals. He also worked in 24 postseason games, 7 starts, 17 in relief. And that versatility enhanced his value. The Cardinals had a winning record when Lynn played a part in a postseason game. A guy averages like 6 2/3 innings per start nowadays. They would immediately put him in Cooperstown.
Yes.
Yes,
they would.
Number 5, Michael Wacha. A chronic shoulder condition prevented Wacha from realizing his full potential over a long period of time. In the regular seasons, 2013 through 19, he was 59-39, had a 3.98 ERA, but Wacha will always be treasured for what we saw in the 2013 postseason. Unreal. I still just shake my head and smile thinking about it. I covered all those games. That year, he had 5 postseason starts, Jim Hewer, and in the first 4 postseason starts in 13, he allowed 3 runs in 27 innings. It was a 1 ERA.
As a rookie.
As a rookie. Overall, in the 2013 postseason, he went 4-1 with a 2.64 ERA. He got him to the World Series by twice defeating Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers in the NLCS. In those 2 NLCS wins against Kershaw, Wacha pitched 13 2/3 innings without giving up a run and only 7 hits and striking out 27 of the batters he faced. My goodness. He also led the Cardinals to a win in World Series Game 2 by limiting the Red Sox to 2 runs in 6 innings, and his tank was almost empty by that point. He didn't pitch well in Game 6 when the Cardinals got eliminated. So what? He gave all he had. The Cardinals, and people tend to forget this one, the Cardinals don't get to the World Series or win the NL pennant in 2013 without Wacha. I was there. It was one of the great pitching performances I've ever seen. Michael Wacha saved the Cardinals from a first-round elimination at Pittsburgh by throwing an absolute gem in Game 4. I think it was 7 innings, 1 run. And the Cardinals then came home to win Game 5 behind Wainwright. They were facing elimination. Wacha got it done, and then Wainwright outpitched a rookie named Garrett Cole to get the Cardinals into the NLCS. Now, this is one I'm going to enjoy talking about because you say, well, what do I do with Jeff Suppan? Listen, he was a good regular season pitcher. But there were better regular season pitchers. But what this dude did in the postseason, just ridiculous. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to remind you, you're going to smile. You're going to smile. In 2006, he had a 2.49 ERA in 4 postseason starts, and the Cardinals, well, let me back up. I went ahead. In 2004, he outpitched Roger Clemens in Game 7 of the 2004 NLCS to lift the Cardinals to their first World Series appearance since 1987. In 2006, Suppan, 4 postseason starts, 2.49 ERA. The Cardinals won 3 of the 4 starts. Against the Mets in the 2006 NLCS, Suppan started 2 games. He pitched 15 innings against the Mets in that series, and they scored 1 run, in 15 innings against him. And he famously we all remember Game 7 for Waino striking out Beltran to end it. I get it. We also will remember the Molina home run. I get it. Suppan, however, kept the Cardinals alive in that Game 7, which was totally up for grabs. He went 7 innings in Game 7. 7 innings, he allowed 2 hits and 1 run. Without that start, they're gone. Without both of those starts, they're gone. So the Cardinals went on to win that classic in extra innings with Waino striking out Beltran after Molina hit the home run. Suppan got a win in World Series Game 4 that year. He held the Tigers 3 runs in 6 innings, and it set up the clincher for the next night in Game 5. Suppan in the regular season was fine, man. 47 32, 3.92 ERA. But here's the one. I told Jim Hewer this during the break. During the 28 season Bill DeWitt era, among Cardinals starting pitchers that worked at least 30 postseason innings, Suppan made 9 starts, and he tied Chris Carpenter for the best ERA in those postseasons.
It's crazy.
3.00. Carpenter and Suppan were tied for the best starting pitching ERA during this era in the postseason.
Incredible.
I mean, I sat and wrote about I was at every game. I wrote about every game. I talked to people after every game. And you look back all these years later at what he did in 2004 and 2006, and you just look at the enormity of how great he pitched and the timing of his great starts. It's just, pardon my drama here, but it sort of takes your breath away. You're like, this guy was incredible. He wasn't just good, he was incredible. Number 7, Woody Williams. He had a 3-1 postseason record for the Cardinals from 2001 through 2004. He helped pitch the Cardinals to the NL pennant with 2 postseason wins in 2004. As a Cardinal, Williams had a 45-21 regular season record. That's a .682 winning percentage. In his 90, that's amazing.
It is.
And I know they had an offense, but you wouldn't going to find anybody else with that winning percentage. In 93 regular season starts as a Cardinal, when he started those 93 games, the Cardinals were 63-30. That's a winning percentage of .677. Williams had a 3.52 ERA as a Cardinal, and he ranked ninth in wins above replacement as a Cardinal, ranking ninth during that 28 seasons of the DeWitt era. And his 3.52 regular season ERA was the fourth best among Cardinal starters during the era, topped only by Carpenter, Shelby Miller, and Lance Lynn. Good old Woody, right?
He may have been one of the best pickups because he was an afterthought when he was here. And we talk about Dave Duncan's brilliance, but it really was. And you were around the team then. And I remember, at least I was always told the story goes, Woody walked into the locker room there because it was a good team. And he just said, you guys don't know how good you really are. And it kind of boosted the group there at the time. And he just took off. He was unbelievable. Loved those numbers.
Yeah. He keyed their surge in 2001, and I should have mentioned that. Good recall, Jim Hewer. Number 8, Andy Bennis. He got the DeWitt years off to a strong start. You know why? Because in the first season, let's go all the way back to 1996, the Cardinals had not made the playoffs since 1987. In his first season, they signed him as a free agent. It took him a while to get acclimated. Let me jump to the end, but I'm going to tell you what he did down the stretch because I remember writing about this, and it was just fantastic. He was 18-10 with a 3.83 ERA in his first season with the Cardinals. And if you go and look at his game logs, not that you will, and that's why I do it for you, it took him a while to get acclimated. I think he's probably trying too hard. He wanted to make a positive impression with his new team, new fan base, all that. But in his final 24 regular season starts that year, 17-3 with the 3.11 ERA, and he finished third in the Cy Young voting in 1996. That's a monster season. That was a monster stretch. It took him, like I said, a little while to kind of get traction. But once he did, look out.
Yep.
And then people need to remember this because even I tend to forget about it because I'm like, well, wait a minute. There was that one kind of strange year where they sent him home because he was really bad and he had a bad knee, and they sent him home. And let's be honest, this was 2002. They had no plans to bring him back. It sounds harsh, but that's the truth, and Bennis will tell you that. He got smacked around so bad early in the 2002 season, and again, he was pitching with a bad knee. The Cardinals shut him down in mid-April. They literally said, go home. We'll call you if we need you. His return seemed unlikely. But that was the year that Darryl Kyle died, and much lesser than that, but it was still a factor in the grand scheme of things. They not only, buried a teammate who was their staff leader, they had all kinds of injuries to their rotation that year. So they were running out of pitchers. So Jocketty calls Bennis up and he says, listen, you think you could come back and start throwing? We'll take a look at, how things are, because I think we need you if you're, if you think you're healthy enough to be comfortable with the way you can pitch. So he did that. He stretched out a little bit. He returned on July 16th, and the Cardinals were in a fight. They really were. From there, again, they sent him home for like 3 months. When he returned July 16th, he made 15 starts. He had a 1.86 ERA, and the Cardinals were 10-5 in his starts.
Incredible.
That was an amazing turnaround in an extremely difficult year for the Cardinal family. In his 5 years with the Cardinals, the team went 4-3 in 7 postseason starts made by Bennis. Let's not forget Andy Bennis. His work in 1996 and 2002, just phenomenal. Number 9, Kyle Lohse. In my opinion, he had one of the most underrated Cardinals starting pitcher seasons ever. 2012, he went 16-3. He had a 2.86 ERA. The Cardinals were 21-12 in his starts. And somehow that led to a 7th place finish in the Cy Young voting. Okay. And it was Lohse who pitched well to get the win in the 2012 National League Wild Card game over Atlanta. He was given no chance to win that matchup. He really wasn't. I remember finding out the odds in that game, and I was like laughing about it because the Braves were like a heavy favorite. He did a good job in that game and got the Cardinals on to the next round, and they got all the way to the end of the NLCS that year in 2012. But here's a great number. In his final 2 seasons with the Cardinals, 2011, 2012, Lohse went, if you combine the 2 seasons, Lohse went 30-11 with a 3.11 ERA, and he made 7 postseason starts and won a couple of them. He was a prominent factor in a 2-season campaign that produced the 2011 World Series title and a spot in the 2012 NLCS. What a great 2-season run that is. So this guy was prominent. He really more prominent than we remember probably. Now, number 10, people will roll their eyes or they'll be mad, but I tell you what, I used to get as irritated and annoyed by Jaime Garcia as the rest of you. But the guy actually had an overlooked career as a starting pitcher, and his injuries were frustrating. Some of his quirks were frustrating, yes. But you got to look at the bigger picture. During the 28 season DeWitt era, Garcia ranks 5th among the Cardinals starters in wins, 6th in wins above replacement, 7th in ERA. He also started 5 games in the 2011 postseason run, had a 4.21 ERA. They won a couple of games with him starting that they needed to win. I think that also happened in 2012. Garcia's 61 wins are the most by a left-handed starting pitcher during the Bill DeWitt era. Now, I wrestle with this, and some of you will be disappointed in me, and that's fair. That's okay. I had some honorable mentions, and it was led by Darryl Kyle. And if any of you said, look, you're crazy, he should be on that list. Okay, point well taken, because believe me, I wrestled with that for as much time as I could before I had to get this thing written. I would have brooded over it all day long, but Darryl Kyle was his first year of the Cardinals. He established himself as the leader of that staff. He won 20 games. He finished 3rd in the Cy Young Award voting, and his time with the Cardinals was terribly short. 2 seasons and a little more than 2 months until he died in his sleep in that Chicago hotel room. Other honorable mentions: Jack Flaherty, Carlos Martinez, John Lackey, Miles Miklasz. Next time I do this, I'm going to take a look at the best relievers. I don't know if I'm going to have 10. I reserve the right to have, say, 5. Anyway, what do you think, Jim? You can disagree with some of that.
Number 10, Garcia, as you were talking about him, and you gave all those numbers, and they were great. They were good numbers for him. And I was thinking about him. I know when he left what the thought process was. I think sometimes, and you can disagree with me or think I'm way off, I think he was hyped so much when he came up that no matter what he did, it was never going to be good enough. And he had a nice career. I just think Cardinal fans, some of them forget how good he was at times, because when he was right, he could dominate a lineup, no problem. He would zip through it, and you'd be like, this guy's going to be one of the great lefties we're ever going to have. And it didn't last as long, but I think the hype when he got here was like, oh, this is going to be the next great lefty. And I think he was a victim of that at times with his career.
Well, and, he was a little bit of a hypochondriac, and that's the other thing.
He was quirky, yeah.
And, I think Dave Duncan told us in the media a story about how Garcia had a really bad start in Houston. I don't know what year it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have his head on straight. He just was he just wasn't locked in,
Yep.
And Duncan said, listen, this guy's different, man. He said he wasn't ready for the start. And I said, well, what happened? Did someone in his family die? Did he get a call that his mother was in intensive care?
Mm-hmm.
Did he fall when he was walking down to the lobby? Did he trip and twist his ankle? Like what? Did he get hit by a bus? And Dunk said, no, he went nuts. He was greatly distressed because he ordered room service breakfast, and it took a long, long, long time to get it delivered, and it ruined his entire day. So
there you go.
Yeah. But look, the body of work, to me, it passes the test. When you're in the top 5, 6, all those categories, come on. I mean, I can't exclude him because he was different, he was quirky, and he was annoying. There's some guys in that list that could be awfully annoying. I don't care. It's about how they pitched.
Yeah, I like your list overall. Like I said,
well, I try to back it up too. That's the whole point. I try to back it up with, rather than just running my mouth, I give you the reasons for why I put those 10 guys on here. My only regret, listen, I could have done the pandering thing, and I could have just say, well, we're gonna make it the top 11 because of Darryl. Maybe I'll still do that. I don't know, but that one bothers me. So if you're mad at me for that, I don't blame you.
No, I don't think so. Texter texts in, what about Jason Marquis?
Is that a joke?
I think so.
Donovan Osborne?
Donovan Osborne would have been a good one. Marquis was another of those guys that aggravated everybody because he's just different.
Shelby Miller could have made it, but they traded him for Hayward.
Yeah.
I included Lackey because Lackey saved their 2014 season. I have him honorable mention. And he was part of a historic staff in 2015 where the Cardinals had a 2.99 ERA, the rotation. They won 100 games. They didn't hit, but they won 100 games because of that rotation, and he was in that rotation. And he more than took up the slack for Wainwright missing most of the year with that torn Achilles.
Yeah.
And Lackey, his time as a Cardinal, the dude was fantastic. He shook up that clubhouse that needed it in 2014. He made guys uncomfortable because they needed to be made, uncomfortable. He was a porcupine dude. In 2015, he just was fantastic. And it was one of the smartest things the Cubs did was sign him away from the Cardinals. One of the dumbest things the Cardinals did, they did not even try to re-sign him. I don't know what it is, man. I'm hoping the culture changes around that team a little bit, where you don't have a couple, 3 pitchers, we don't really like him. Why? Because he doesn't kiss your behind?
Yeah.
Because he questions things you say? Well, what about how he pitches? There've been way too many decisions based on all this stuff.
Yes, you're number 4 on your list, Lance Lynn. I never understood he should still be a Cardinal as far as I'm concerned.
Because Mike Matheny didn't want to manage him because Lance Lynn questioned his authority. After Mike Matheny told Lance Lynn, listen, man, this door is always open to you. If you ever, you got something gnawing at you and you want to get something off your chest, you just come in. And you don't have to worry about it. You can tell me anything. So Lynn went in one day and told him he didn't like this, and he thought maybe the Cardinals could do this better, and here's why, and he explained it, because Lance Lynn's a very thoughtful guy.
Very much so.
And Matheny's response, that's the year that Lynn was rehabbing from Tommy John, but Lynn also gave him time to kind of look and watch it, how they were going about some things, and he recommended a couple changes. He wasn't trying to be a radical. Mike Matheny's answer that day in the manager's office, he says, Lance, why don't you get on down to Jupiter and do your rehab there?
Gee whiz.
Right?
Come on. You're supposed to be the leader of the group, and that's
P-Baby.
Yeah.
One of the big-time well, not as a player, but as the manager, there has never been a bigger diaper baby.
Wow, that's bad. Another text asks, did you consider Todd Stottlemyre for your list?
Well, he's on the list, but he wouldn't displace anybody on that list. I could have put honorable mention. I like Stott a lot, but what would be the case for him? I would politely ask that.
Yeah, that's just from our text line. He got credit when he first got here, but man, that list of 10 you got for there, and I would, like you said, Kyle, I don't know if I could put Stoudemire ahead of that group.
Yeah, and again, you have to factor in the postseason.
Yeah.
They've done so much winning, and all the guys on this list contributed to that. Some of them were massive in the way they contributed to that. Like if you talk to a baseball scout, you say, hey, you want Todd Stoudemire or do you want Jeff Suppan? I said, well, Stott's got much better stuff. I mean, he's more talented, yeah. But that also overlooks the fact that you have money on the line. Suppan was as good as anybody they had, and the guy always could make the big pitches when he had to. Did he have great stuff? No. Did he throw hard? No. Did he throw the knee buckling curve? No. He pitched. He had great location. He could land that pitch wherever he needed to land it, especially in big spots. So this isn't a matter of like who might be more talented. This is about accomplishment. And if you also help do that in the postseason, and some of these guys were giants in that regard, well, you're going to get a lot of extra points for that. Stoudemire as a Cardinal, it was 2 seasons plus. And he was 35-29, 3.77 ERA. That's not bad, but does that top Jeff Suppan? Does it top?
Woody.
The impact Woody Williams had?
Dennis Lohse? No, I would say probably not.
Lohse won the wild card game that they needed badly in 2012. He pitched, he pitched on that World Series champion. Those guys get a premium. The world champions get a premium if they were a meaningful part of those world championship teams. They get. I mean, that takes any. If there's any kind of tiebreaker, so to speak, that's it. Nothing to debate here.
No,
I thought Stott was a good pitcher, but no, I wouldn't. Maybe in retrospect, I look at it and say, well, maybe an honorable mention. But again, he wasn't here all that long either. But he did pitch well when he was here. And he was part of the 96 team that went to the postseason. And maybe I ought to look that up. But anyway, I appreciate feedback because you know why? Because I like to go back and look at if I miss something. I really do. And he... See, in the 1996 postseason, he made 4 starts. The first start was really good when they beat San Diego. Then at Atlanta, it was fine. It was like in 6 innings, 3 runs. His third start against Atlanta, and they were this was a big one, and they lost 14-0.
Oh yeah.
And he pitched 1 inning. He gave up 9 hits and 7 earned runs. He only faced 12 batters. And then he came in a relief in the 6th game and was not good in relief either. So no, it just doesn't rise to that level for me. I like the guy a lot.
All the stuff you went through on your list, because I know we're going to have to wrap up, the fact that you joggled my memory on how many big games Jeff Suppan pitched was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
It really was. I was like, oh my. I'd forgotten. Shame on me. That's good.
Before we go, and thank you, I hope you all like that. And again, if you want to read it, because then you can take your time. And I'm not hawking for clicks. Look, if people want to read, great. If that's not, great. I mean, I try not to promote that too much on the show. But if you want to read it, and then you can sort of absorb it more than me just going through things pretty quickly on the air, it's right there for you. Or if you follow my Twitter account, I linked to it today. It's at Miklasz, Miklasz, or go to scoopswithdennymac.com.